Citrix Cloud as far as that goes. At first I'm going to touch on a little bit about, the what and why about containers. So similar to how he just went through in the password list, the containers, if you haven't heard of it, you might be familiar a little bit with containers from a DevOps standpoint, and that's sort of the thought process of where Turbo came from. Being able to virtualize, this is all application virtualization, being able to virtualize this into their own containers, as Turbo calls them, rather than traditional, right? So there's so many choices to sift through from the application delivery and image management side. It's constantly evolving. That's why we're here today. That's why we're, getting into some of the new technologies that fit the bill better for our environments that we're helping our customers with. You have traditional, you got layering, you got masking. Here you got containers, or effectively streaming. If you're familiar with like AppV, FinApp, those are some of the old school ones that are on their last legs. Those are essentially in maintenance mode at this point. There's really no features or anything. Like FinApp is, I think, end of availability. AppV is like just kind of stagnant right now because it's going to be put to bed. Those are the old school ones. I was even a formal Citrix streaming guy. So for any old school admins on the call today, if you're back from the XenApp 665 days, I did a ton. Great product with Citrix streaming. It was another application delivery mechanism similar to this with streaming technology. It didn't have near the feature set and the container side of things, but it did do like an AppV that Citrix had as part of their suite. Traditional, of course, is like SCCM, or just installing it in the image. What most are familiar with today, that's what we're trying to really think outside the box and get away from that old thinking, modernize the approach to the OS, keeping the gold image as clean as possible. Application, packaging and those kind of things, having a dedicated team doing their thing, but not having those installs on the images, right? Layering is more about a VHD approach where you layer in different levels. Even within the Turbo world, they call it, it's referred to as layering, even though it's not layering. It's referred to layering when you have multiple containers that are able to talk to in an isolated world. So layering, even the terminology can get confusing there. Masking, as if you're familiar with FS Logics, that's all they do there. And then basically this is the next generation evolution of the space. This kind of shows that you can then push Turbo out, publish once, publish anywhere to all these different points. Turbo can do them all, right? So it's extreme flexibility delivery. They even have their own remote app delivery capability and a huge, powerful, expanding feature set. The legacy application support, that's a big one. Windows 7 to Windows 11, they have an SLA for future-proof guarantee. They'll guarantee that sucker will be future-proof for anything coming up. They even have network isolation within these containers, where you can, prevent it from, like an IE8, containerize it, make it only go one spot, right? You don't want IE8 trying to talk to the interwebs. So, and then, again, physical, virtual, persistent, non-persistent worlds that cover them all from that standpoint. And then just the infrastructure, these are the three big components. We got a hub, we got a portal, we got a SQL. That's what it really boils down to. This is more of the application server. We're not focusing on that at all today. But these are the components to make it all tick from a Turbo standpoint.